you have the thing where it will stop if it doesn't ring. You put the do not disturb on?
I don't know. I won't probably ring, to be honest.
Okay.
I can click it now. I can go out.
Okay.
I'll go out and then click that on.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women Are Worthy show. My guest, Hayley Jo-Anne, she's basically getting her set up together right now. But we want to talk about, guys and dolls, we want to talk about race relations. Sometimes it's hard to talk about. It's even difficult. But make no mistake, it's very, very necessary. Mm-hmm. So, Miss Hayley Jo-Anne, right?
Hello.
Let's talk about, we want to inspire conversation, you and I, right? We want to talk about how can we overcome biases. Let's respect and reflect. And also, before I go any further, I don't want my team to really beat me up. If you want to join our tribe, you must subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the Women Are Worthy Network. Okay, so subscribe to our YouTube channel. So today we want to talk about race relations. Now, Hayley Jo-Anne, she's across the pond, so to speak. Okay. We started this conversation. Let's be totally transparent. We started the conversation. I was going to interview her about what she does for a living and how she's making the moolah, the cheese, the dinero, But we started talking about race, and I don't remember. How did we get into the race conversation? Do you remember?
I think we were just talking about, like, obviously your Inspired Woman show and that you're an empowered woman. And that you and I were just getting on and we were bouncing ideas and we were just saying how it is really beautiful that we're from such different worlds, but we're so aligned. And the ball just started rolling really with it, didn't it? Like I'm engaged to, I don't even know, like he's a huge mix of amazing, a boiling pot of amazing cultures. And so for me, being in the online space, like I've come across a lot of challenges, especially with everything that went on last year. And, coming from the UK, rural England, it hit me hard and I didn't honestly quite know how to react with it all. So I think that's where we started and your feelings about it too, really.
So how does it, you're in the UK, what is one's feeling, particularly from you, hearing about the Black Lives Matter, the police brutality, and how your perception of how Black people are feeling? What did you, for someone who's not part of the culture, who's not in the United States, but you are white, what's your takeaway? Like, how did you feel about this?
First of all, I'm going to say, this is this makes my palms sweat, this topic, because when this all hit here, I'm sitting in rural England in the middle of like Pride and Prejudice land. And I'm in the feeling of like that everyone that I associate with, everyone I know, I don't care where they come from, what they look like, as long as I connect with them, as long as I get on with them. So for me, like I was one of those people, like it was disgusting what happened. Absolutely horrific, like heartbreaking, whoever that had happened to. And then I'm trying to reach out to my friends that are Black. And I'm kind of like, can you describe it to me? Because you know what, so-and-so, I just think of you like me. And they all started to turn around and say to me, but that's that's the wrong thing to say to us. I don't want to hear that I'm the same as everybody else. Whereas to me, from a really genuine gut, authentic view, if I'm saying to you, Jacqueline, like, I just see you as my friend, that's the highest compliment that someone could give me and that I feel that I could give someone. I don't care if you're from the States, Botswana, Timbuktu, Spain, you're the same. Whereas that really got me. And it's something that I wanted to ask you, because if I see you as my friend and I don't see the color of someone's hair or the color of someone's skin, am I at fault? Because I was made to feel at fault.
Well, you see, and I can't give you everyone's perspective. I can only speak about mine. I was raised in a Jewish community where it was a mixture of things, mostly white people as well. So for me, I have a different perspective. So I was never made to feel like, oh my God, she's Black. I was never made to feel that way. So I think for some people, they want you to, the ones who said that to you, they want you to see them as who they are. Because for some people, it's like, oh, I don't see color. Yes, you do see color, because when you look at me, you see that I'm a Black person. You may not introduce me to your friends to say,
Yeah.
this is my Black friend. Because if we're standing, and you know what's crazy? If let's say myself and someone else who's white is standing across the room, and you said, hey, I want to point out, I want you to meet Jacqueline. And they're like, which one's Jacqueline? You're not going to say it's the Black girl. You are going to say it's the one wearing the black sweater, the one with the short haircut, and things like that, because you're made to feel that if you say, let's be honest, guys, if she were to say it's the Black girl over there, most people, why did you have to mention her color? Well,
Yeah.
it's true. And so you, in your space, you're made to feel uncomfortable because good rising, Miss Wilburn. So you don't know what to say. So what you're going to fall back on is the clothing, the cut of my hair, the shorter lady, that thing, and because that's how you feel that you need to describe me or point me out. So how do you feel in your space? Have you been made to feel uncomfortable? Have you been made to feel that you're responsible for all the prejudices? Because obviously it's not just America that has gone on, that you feel like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I say? How do I respond?
Yeah.
You have?
100%. Like I reached out to a Black teammate of mine, and I just said to her, I need to understand where you guys are coming from. Like, I want to understand, I want to support you. Because to me, you're my friend, and that it goes no further. I don't give a monkeys about the rest of it. And she turned around and she was like, that's exactly the problem that is wrong with you white people. You don't see what my grandma went through, what my history is. You don't understand that, so you will never understand me. And people have stopped talking to me. People have left the company that I worked for because there was something, that they weren't using a Black manufacturer and those kind of things. So it's been really an interesting time for me because, I haven't grown up with the history that some of the people that I know, my friends in this world, I haven't grown up with what their history is. It's a different kind of history. And is that wrong that we don't understand it? Yeah. But we were never taught it at school. We were never all taught about it.
Okay.
And is my history known about? Like, there's this kind of, I think there's a massive lack of communication.
It is a lack of massive communication. And here's the thing. When you're African American or Black in this country, we're expected to know about Christopher Columbus, George Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, what has happened, the Boston Tea Party, what has happened. We know all about what happened, with the royals from Henry VIII. So what we're looking for is the people to understand. I'm not talking about Martin Luther King and, other people. Because we want, just like how we're taught that we need to know about all these historical people who are white, we expect that white people know about our history as well. Ms. Wilburn, you can comment to see if you agree or not, because it's almost like we're supposed to know, but then like when we have movies that come out, like any movies that come out with things that we've discovered, or people, you find out a Black person invented this, it's like a shocker. And we just want, and for me anyway, I would like the same effort, even when you're in school and you're taught about these people. And what I mean, these people, inventors and stuff like that. I don't mean these people like white people. These people, we want to make sure that white people know what we're doing as well. And there's some people that don't feel that they want to go ahead and educate people because there's Google, there's stuff like that. So it's nice to, like, they had something with Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson, she's an actress. I don't know if you're aware of her. She's an actress. She's an African-American actress. She's like our royalty when it comes to acting. Phenomenal lady. When she died, a lot of my white friends did not know all the stuff that she's done. I mean, she was in Roots. She was in wonderful movies. She's always held herself in the movies that she was in. She never played like a prostitute or anything like that. And there's nothing against if that's what you have to play. But she shows that she was not going to be that she's not going to play that kind of a role. Brewster's place, she's always had like a regal role. Autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, like back then was like one of the oldest women, 108, and she was talking about going back in history or something like that. I mean, her age. And we, just like how we know about Tom Selleck or, Julia Roberts, a lot of white people don't know who our Black actors are other than the Denzel Washington, Angela Bassett, and they don't know people like the Ruby Dee. And we want people to know who we are and know who the people are who are contributing to acting and all those other fields, great inventions.
So then what you're saying then is the media is to blame. It isn't.
No, it's not the media. We are the media. We can't blame schools because, for example, I'm Black. You can't tell me anything about the Jewish culture. You can't tell me anything about the Russian culture. You can't tell me anything about the German culture. You can't tell me about, because I've immersed myself in different cultures. I can say, because some things they didn't teach me in school, but because I am just interested in human beings, I want to know the Aborigines. I just have a quest for learning and traveling and meeting new people and knowing them. It's not the media, because if the media puts something out and we're not watching it, it's going to go away. That's like with these reality shows, because people are watching it, they keep making it. So for me, it's not a blame. I think it's an opportunity for white people to start researching and knowing our history, because I'm telling you, I think I may know your history more than you know your history in England. Okay. And
maybe.
And I'm not, it's just that I'm like, we just need to know each other's history. And I think that's where people get upset with, like, we had like one of the richest places in America called Rosewood. It was phenomenal, built with rich Black people. They ended up bombing it because they didn't want to see Black people to progress. And they bombed it and messed up the entire town, so we just want people to know to know about us the way we know about you. That's just my general feeling. I don't think it's wrong, because you do want to learn, but right now you're being like, get away from me, you know, that kind of thing, what I'm hearing.
What do you mean is get away from me?
Meaning you're reaching out to people and they're telling you, nope. They don't even want to have a discussion with you, like the ones who are saying, well, you haven't shopped, your company's not investing in Black companies or working with Black companies, which I think that every company, Black or white, we need to make sure that we're working together, because how is your company going to hire Black people and they're not having a Black distributor? It doesn't add up, because, and I understand now what's going on, why they feel that way, but it would be good to see if your company or whatever company it is, not just getting someone because they're Black, but getting a good company that's owned by a Black person. So whether it's a manufacturer or whatever it is that you're doing, so we want to see people like us, so, and people will work harder. We want to see, here's the word, diversity. That's what I guess they're looking for, diversity. So if you have 15 distributors and they're all white, that's a problem, because there's no diversity. So why should I even want to work for you? Because if you're not showing me respect by investing or working with other people, you're only going to promote me, but for so far, because it's like we're invisible. We can do the work, but you won't let me rise to the next level. That's how they're feeling, because that's how I would feel too.
Okay.
So that's why in the United States now you're seeing a lot of diversity, inclusion, directors, because they want to make sure, because of Black Lives Matter, we don't want what happened happen again. We're not just talking about with the police officers. We want people to see. We want to make sure cultural sensitivity. That's what we're looking for. So
and does that grow, say, across the board then? Because say my fiance is Native American, and his culture isn't understood. What his grandparents went through isn't understood. It's not kind of talked about, and it has to be very niche to be understood. He's part American, he's part Polish, so there's Mexican, part Polish, so there's all these different pockets, and those cultures individually as well are very misunderstood. So I guess my question is, apart from talking about it, like now, like what can all of us do as a collective, not just black, white? It has to be all of us uniting together to make a difference.
We have to unite and make a difference. But right now, here's one of the problems that I have. I don't like when I'm talking about a black issue, I have to hear about another culture. I don't like it. Because right now, like when people are saying Black Lives Matter, people were saying, well, white lives matter. We're not saying I am not saying white life doesn't matter. I'm not saying police life doesn't matter. What's just like they make that statement, and I think we talked about it. If your house is burning down and all the other houses are okay, let's talk about the burning house, not the other houses. So that's because right now there's been an injustice with Black people. Let's face it. You know, I mean, you know, from again, the Indians were here. People were enslaved and brought to this country, and their contribution wasn't given to them. We haven't received reparation or even having discussions about that. And then you have not just police, but a lot of racial things that are happening that people have been ignoring until finally people got fed up with it. So now let's talk about, because I think once we can understand each other, where we're coming from, then we can work with the others. Because like you said, Polish, but the person still looks white. So
well, he doesn't look white.
No. I'm just saying, right? But you said he's mixed with different things. But right now, the issues that we have at hand right now, it's with African American people or people who are Black. So it's not just in America. People who are Black, that there's a lot of racial injustices that's going on that no one wants. I'm not going to say no one wants to address, but I think we all need to address it and figure out. Because my answer may be different from a different Black person. My answer.
Well, you said that originally because you're not African American, aren't you? You're from Barbados originally?
No, Jamaica. But see, my
Trinidad. Sorry, yeah,
Jamaica. But my thing is, it's not. I'm Black. At the end of the day, I'm Black. So when a white person looks at me, they're not going to say, "Well, you look. You know, are you from Africa? Are you from Jamaica? Are you from Trinidad?" This is what they see. This is the skin what they see. So I think personally, we all need to have a conscious conversation, and it may be one of those like, ooch, you know, or like, wow, I didn't know you felt that way about me, or, oh, that's not what I meant. But I think we need to, from everything, from finances, because I think once we understand where we're coming from, but not just understanding, we have to do the work. We have to do the work by educating each other and learning, working together, spending money with each other. I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah, I agree.
I see digesting it. How do you feel?
No, it's interesting. It's interesting. And, you know, when we originally discussed this, you were coming from the side of that you also think that you don't agree with a lot of the way your Black friends, and it could be an argument, like a touchy point there. So I'd like to hear like that side of the view from you as well, because if you kind of feel that you don't fully align with, say, a lot of your Black friends, what is it that you don't align with what they think?
Well, I think it's things like, let me see. What can I don't like, for example, some of my friends were raised in a certain area. So I'm always saying, well, like I have a friend, she's from Louisiana, and we're always talking about like things that happen in the hood, the ghetto, whatever. And I don't know. And that's would be the same like someone being in the trailer park. You know what I'm saying? So, and a trailer park in the United States is mostly associated with white people, right?
Yeah.
Not saying that Black people don't live there, but that's what associated. And they call the hood, you know, people from Black people that live in the hood. That's what they call it, even though white people live there too. Some things I'm not on the same page because fiscally, on a financial level, I wasn't raised in a certain neighborhood to understand some of the other things. So things that I just can't relate to. You know, I just don't relate to that. I don't relate to, like some of the shows that I watched back in the day, like 3 in a Bed, you know, where things were really, really tight. they're going to have a different viewership. Like, for example, I can relate to when I used to watch shows like the Leave It to Beavers, and I like shows like that where some of my friends don't, because they don't understand it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So again, I was raised in a different area from they were, not all of them, but I can understand. But I have the understanding of someone who's living in, hello Gail, someone living in the hood. I understand, because I would hang out there. I wanted to see what it was like, that area. So a lot of things that I speak about, it's not, and I'm pretty sure some of the things you're going to speak about, not all of your friends may agree with you. I could be wrong with that. But when it comes to, how we feel, how we were raised, and that's another thing too, it's how you were raised. Just like you said, you don't understand certain things, but I choose to keep my eyes open to everything, So let me know if you feel like I'm backtracking or whatever, because I want us to have an honest conversation, because at the end of the day, we want people to sit down with their friends and say, okay, tell me how you feel. What's going on? Am I not supporting, your Black Lives Matter? Do you feel like I'm just, I'm keeping quiet, I'm silent on social media and I'm not saying anything, or I'm not calling you and say I support what's going on? Like, let's, and I want us to peel that onion to see how we can't solve the world's issue in an hour. Let's face it. But listening to you, it can help me when I'm talking to my friends. And I think I'm pretty much open to even my Caucasian friends, where I think they see that I'm all about supporting people who are doing positive things.
I think the thing is, I think you nailed something there, that you can't understand certain ways of living. Like I can't, like anyone watching can't, because we've never experienced it. And so no one, if you haven't lived in the UK, you're not going to understand how people that are from the UK work, like how an American works, vice versa. And that's the biggest thing. Like for me, I have been very, very lucky that I have traveled the world alone as well from a very young age. And I've been in many, many different cultures. And when I say that, I don't just mean that I've gone and stayed in hotels in a different country. I've gone to the slums of India. I have hiked the east coast of South Africa, from Durban to Mozambique, like literally sleeping on the beaches and going into shanty villages. I volunteered with orphans. I've gone into, and this isn't me saying, oh, I'm fucking great. Like, it's me just saying that I want to understand other people. And one of my hardest experiences was when I was in South Africa and I was staying next door to an orphanage, and I would go in every day and help with the babies that had been taken away from mothers that had had drug abuse and alcohol abuse. And it was so tragic. And I just, I wanted one. Inkosi was the one that I wanted to bring home. But every day then after that, I would go in and I would support a local village. It was like the children's summer holidays. And all the children came from around the villages because they knew that they would get fed. I was the only white person. It was the hardest few weeks of my life because I sat on the outskirts for the whole of the time, right up until the end, when I decided that I wanted an honest conversation with them. Because they had a view of me that was a view that they had got from the television, and that was that. And so I was instantly outcasted. They didn't want to have anything to do with the white girl. They actually bullied me. Like, things went around about what I was wearing, whatever. So I've put myself in a lot of situations to learn about culture and try and immerse myself. And so I think it comes to a point that our world is a boiling pot, but all of us actually need to interact on a higher level outside of our bubbles, because it's so easy. Like, I know that you're heavily involved in your community and like all angles of your community. And I think on a level with every single person, we all need to do that. Like, we all need to get more involved in our community on quite a diverse scale so we can understand each other more. Because if we're not delving into situations of, challenging situations, hard situations, then we never are going to understand, because it is just someone's story, But when we actually go in and immerse ourselves into that story, that is when we can get an understanding. And if someone is willing to open their door, open their heart, and let us have a conversation about the hard things, the history, the past, then that's where the magic will happen, you know. Unfortunately, I don't have grandparents, so I can't actually ask them, say, if I wanted to know deeper about their history. I sadly, I can't ask, and they were around when I was younger. But maybe we should all make an effort and step into other parts of our community than what we're used to stepping into, and ask the questions now of our elders and people that have harder situations than us.
And you know, and going back to when you were in the village, because there's some components here. It could be that they've had white women come into the village just to check off the list that I did this, made promises, never came back, never did anything, just saying. Looking at you as a white privileged woman coming in, that could be another perception that they had. Like, why do we even bother? Because this is just something that she just has to do because she's bored. And again, whether it's television or however, but when you said you were bullied and outcast, just imagine how many women or Black people have gone through that.
Yeah.
On the other. So you had just a smidgen of what it's like, and not being spit upon, beaten, or God knows what could have happened, you know? So, and it didn't make you feel good. And I know if it were, you know, when you left, I know you had to think about it like, dang, you know, and I don't know if you put yourself in the other shoes, in the other person's place, like, is this a little bit about what Black people go through? Because here I'm being bullied, or here I was made to feel an outcast because I'm a white woman, you know? So
of course I felt like that. I feel like that. I'm not, I don't understand because I can't, but I try to understand. So what my point is there is also, like, in this world right now, like the history, yeah, we need to understand it more, 100%. All of us do. But right now, some scenarios, sometimes we're the outcasts as well. And we are getting a taste and an understanding of it. Like, I don't want it to be thought of that actually not everyone goes and puts themselves in hard situations. Right. But there's numerous amounts of time that I have been sitting in situations and gone, oh my God, this is what they feel like. That's what someone feels, you know, and it's intense and it's heavy. But I can only have that feeling because I have put myself into that situation. Like, for some people that just keep in their kind of their village, their town, their concrete jungle, that's where we need to make shifts, because they aren't stepping outside of the Stepford housewives community or whatever it is we want to like say, that like they're not seeing the harder side of life. Like, I remember a friend telling me, like, you will never understand what it's like to put your Black son, tell him to go down the road to get bread, and worry about what's going to happen to him on the street. No, I can't imagine that. A, because I don't actually have a child. So, you know, like, I can't imagine having a child, but like, I can't imagine being like that as a mother, especially in this day and age. Like, that is horrific to think that every day that your son or your children go to school, that you're worried about their well-being. Like, that is not acceptable in our world right now. That is not acceptable, that a Black mother has to worry if their child is going to get to school safely or not.
Well, it's not even a Black mother, because I have a husband, and when
I'm just saying, it's a mother that's told me.
Yeah, but I'm speaking as a Black woman who's married to a Black man. For me, in my community, I'm okay with my husband going out and coming home. I'm okay. When he crosses over a certain area, it worries me. I mean, I try not to, and I've said this before, I try to, like, yeah, God's going to take care of him. He can take care of himself. But I'm a Black woman who's married to a Black man out there. And I worry, and I don't let him know how much I worry, you know, like, oh my God, you're And that's just the feel. So I understand what she's saying, but I'm just letting you know because she was talking about her child, but it doesn't even end there, because I'm like, oh my God, he's going out in the day. And of course you can't tell him to stay in the house, but it's, people don't understand. People who are not white don't get it. Because it is true, you have the white privileged skin, okay? But people don't understand what some of us don't even talk about it out loud. We don't even talk about it amongst ourselves when our men are going out, and I don't mean like clubbing, but just going someplace at night and coming back, whether it's a store, but they have to go further. I am here to tell you, I do get worried. I'm in Georgia.
What's the worry of like that white people are going to be abusive?
It's a worry that a police may stop him. That's not in my community, and he knows what he needs to do. But who knows? Because there's certain parts of Georgia that's really bad. So I don't want to have to, when he's going for stuff that he's doing. So my concern is, I want him to come back home. I want him to live to fight another day. And it's not just police officers. Let's put that out there, okay? It's not just we're thinking like in my community. I'm not worried about that at all with him. Outside of my community, I'm worried because it could be him getting gas and some yahoos drive up to him and want to do something or whatever, and then that's an issue, because you see it all the time. We had this guy by the name of what was his name? Can't think of his name right now. He was just jogging in the neighborhood, and I should know his name. He was jogging in his neighborhood, past a construction site, looked at a house, and they killed this man. They were dragged. It was horrible, and he lived in the community. But these two guys were in a pickup truck and they wanted to do like an Emmett Till on him. And it's not acceptable. I understand the anger. I understand the pistivity. Is that a word? That people, I understand it, because it's almost like turn the other cheek. Because Black people are known to always turn the other cheek. And at some point now, the pot is bubbling and people don't want to turn the cheek anymore. They want to do what they want to do. And then that's when riots and all that kind of stuff happens. And that's why I want people to have a conscious conversation, starting with women. Let's talk to someone who don't look like us. Let's have conversations and let's see what is it that because again, you have people who are like, I'm not here to teach you anything. Go on social media, go on YouTube, learn about our history. I'm not here to try to sit down and tell you about what's happening. Read the newspaper. So what are you doing in your bubble to make you understand, or even to make your friends understand, that this is a sensitive topic and we need to fix this? We need to cut it at the knees.
Yeah, the first thing that I want to say about what you just said is like what I guess is so disappointing in the world is that what you've just explained to the local that got killed by a few disgusting white men, or I'm assuming they were men, I don't know. That's the problem, is that there's this pocket of people that do things like that. And then that is a reflection of my skin color too, because I haven't killed anyone. I've never thought of that. Like, I don't know anyone that has. Like, I don't live in an area that has happened. And so that's the frustration that I think from, if we're talking bluntly, that I want to talk to you and I want to know as much as possible about the horrific situations that have gone on, because then I can have, well, not that I don't have empathy, but I can learn on a deeper level. But it's always like that those pockets of people that do, say the police that did that situation, the people that killed your friend, and I'm sure it happens on a daily basis, day in, day out, those pockets of white people give just average Joe Blows like me such a bad rep. And that's where I'm saying, oh, okay, I want to learn, help me, I'll go off and just you're never going to understand, I don't want you in my life, kind of thing. But that's not fair either, because I'm trying to understand. I wasn't related to that person. I didn't know that person that did it. They don't even live in the same country as me. I'm trying to understand history and also the present of what you go through. So how I talk about it, at the moment, I'm in full lockdown. I haven't left my four walls for like over a month, and it's going on for 2 more months. It's been like that for a year. But we talk, and I try and watch like I Googled the best movies that I could watch about the history. And so I do that. I'm always trying to like ask people questions that we've connected. I'm trying to do that. You know, that's on my side of things. And I can only but say I can only talk from myself. I want to know more. Because I don't want to be tarred with the same brush as the people that make me feel sick that would do that to someone that's jogging past. I
don't need to jump, but let me tell you how bad this is. When I couldn't even remember his name. His name is Ahmaud Arbery. And let me tell you why. It's like a common occurrence now, where there's so many African Americans that were killed. These weren't police officers, he was just jogging, and some guy takes out a gun and they shoot him. He's running, and there's videos of it and I'm hoping the case is still pending, but I'm hoping because of the video that they will convict these guys. Okay, so the case is still pending. I think one of the guys had, again, some sort of, I don't want to get into that, but we're hoping, that these guys get arrested and get the harshest prison sentence that they can get for doing that. To see this guy was a working guy, his mom was crying. It was just horrific on what happened. Now, here's the other thing. Sometimes we're guilty by association, because we may know someone that says the N-word, that says negative things, and we have to make sure that we have to have a conversation with them too. Because my thing is, for these men to do that, their circle, they had to have exhibited something before. So their circle is just as responsible. That's how I look at it. So my thing is, I'm not going to have anyone in my circle who is going to be, that I know of, that's prejudiced, racist, black or white. I'm not going to have that. So that's what I'm saying. When you said you want to learn, but we also need to clean house to see what's in our backyard. Because
of course, like that goes without saying. And I think that you and I are preaching to each other, but we're on the same page with that. Why? Just because I'm white, it doesn't mean that I associate with assholes, or judgmental people. Like, I don't, like, as in, I have good people in my life, whoever they are, wherever they're from, and that's my opinion. I think that they're good people, and like, you think you have good people. And that's the thing, our realities are all individual, aren't we? Like, what we see is so different to the next person, whether we are white, whether we're black, or whether it's your black sister or my white sister, But I think that's right. And I think that isn't discussed enough. However, also, I think that where we come to with us being across the pond from each other, the States this is so rife in the States. So rife. I feel just heartbroken. My uncle lives in LA, and like you say about the shootings, like, they are all the time. Like, he told us about one the other day, and we were like, wow. And he's like, no, it happens all the time. I just don't tell you. And it's so different culturally as well, even in this present moment, for an understanding, And I think that's where it's difficult. It's kind of like, do I watch the American news in, say, Georgia to understand it? Like, it's a tricky point, isn't it? Because it's like, how does one understand it fully when you're so separated?
I think how one understands it is knowing our history, researching Emmett Till, researching, things like that. Knowing the fact that now you have to understand the past to understand the future, what people are feeling and how, because we're not far away from, segregation. So I think they need to start off with the Emmett Tills and learn what we contributed to this country, but you have to learn the assassination of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and learn the history, learn how we built the country, learn the wonderful inventions from the stoplight that you guys have in London as well, that African Americans created. It's not, you don't want to always see all white inventors. You need to see what we also have contributed to this country and to the world, not even the country, to this world. Because a lot of the inventions, it's just that they were Black inventors, but it, spanned across the world. Because we know Isaac Newton developed, we know theory, we know things like that. So why isn't it like, it's almost like, to me, I think in some African Americans, it's acceptable that I know your history, but you don't know mine. And I don't accept that anymore. You need to know, and not just in America. I don't know in England, my brothers out there, like we have right now, it's Black History Month. So Black History Month, that's when everything you hear about Black news, the inventions, and I'm Black 365 days a year, baby. So 1 month does not do anything for me. Now, by the same token, I think mothers, white and Black, should educate their children at home and not depend on the school system, because at a certain point, the school system only gave you a little, when I was going to school, just a little blurb about Martin Luther King, a little blurb, and then there were so many people out there, but I found out who those people were out there because I loved to read. So I think we just need to, it's not even whitewashing. We definitely need to understand where we're coming from together. We're human, first of all, and we need to support each other. That's the thing. If you have a company, invest, because we're always doing business with white people. Well, why? Because I have this thing now that with my company, if you don't support my company, I'm not doing business with you. I'm talking about for my nail technician, my hair person. If you don't, because I'm supposed to feed into your business and you're not going to feed into my business. No, I don't do that anymore. No, if you don't support me, I'm not supporting you. I'm just not doing that anymore, because that's how we, you get to know. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm not talking about transactional. I'm just talking about anything. So it's not just money. It's about everything throughout. We can't do that anymore. And then, so I know.
That's community though, isn't it? And I think if COVID has taught us anything, it's made our communities a lot smaller, and it's actually taking it back to how it was before the world got so accessible, I guess. And I think that community is so important. And if you were a pillar of the community, then one should all be supporting each other. And I think that's where we have this missing link in our world right now, is the fact that we all, someone the other day said to me, there's a shop Etsy, which is all locals. Well, not locals, but it's kind of handmade. She was buying something off Amazon. And I was like, oh, I like to support Etsy because it's a small business. And she's like, well, it doesn't arrive the next day. And that is a thing in our world right now. It's too easy. Everything's too easy for them to take, say, your money, your business, and then just forget about it. We need to start with the giving and receiving again in life. And I don't necessarily mean the tangible things, but the time, the energy, the understanding, the respect, the appreciation. Like you say, understanding Black inventors, not just always honoring the white inventors, having this constant exchange between us all. And if we can start it, then
So let me ask you a question. You have a business, correct? Right? Okay. So here's an example. You have a business. Do you have a website?
Well, I am an affiliate for a company. Okay. So my business is different. Yeah.
Okay. So you have so your business is different, but you're with a business. Do you know if they're using any Black business people to do their website, to do their marketing, to do their, what are they doing?
Well, I can tell you, I don't know, but from my experience, a lot of our leaders in the company, they're Black, they're always on stage, they're always leading. Corporate, who I deal with one girl in particular, she's Black. So yeah, in my view, from what I have seen, it's
diverse.
I think it's diverse. Could it be more diverse? Potentially, yeah. Yeah. Behind the scenes, I don't know, because our manufacturers and farms are spread that
Right.
it again, it's diverse. So I'm not the right person. That is not fair for me to, I can only say what I see. And I have to say one thing I honor, and I feel that as white women we miss out on. I see the Black teams, and holy moly, they are so unified. They are empowering, driven, motivated, and they are the ones that get the energy firing. If we have trainings, and yeah, it's inspiring. And I think actually sometimes we need to take a little bit of a seat back and go, we need to learn where that motivation comes from, you know, where that passion, and that it's like, where you girls like preach stuff so well. Like I wish that like my white team, like it's not my white team, but like as in some of the black people I know, I wish they could. Like I remember my brother was a basketball player at school, and one of our best friends growing up, he was getting baptized, and my brother and I turned up to the church, and we were the only white people, and then I'm standing there and, you know, loving like the evangelical side of it. I'm loving it, and I definitely feel that we have so much to learn from you guys. And I think that now is the time that we all get to, we all get to share that, and we actually get to ask and say, do you know what, I really admire you. Can you give me a bit of what you've got? Like, you know, pass it on, like teach us, kind of thing. But it can't just be one person, me saying that. It has to be more people saying that, and everyone going, yes.
But it could start with you, because here's the thing. And now that brings me to my other question. Then you have culture vultures, okay, which I hate. And I never use that word, but I hate culture vultures. And do you know what a culture vulture is?
No.
A culture vulture is someone who hijacks someone's culture and make it their own. For example, corn braids. You have you like have the Kardashians. Let me explain. You'll have the Kardashians who will wear corn braids, but they don't call it corn braids. They'll call it Kardashian something or other. Yeah. And then they don't give the respect to, because this was, okay, let me give you a quick history about corn braids. Back in slavery days, right? They would we would get our hair corn braided. And when it was corn braided in such a pattern that when we would run away off the plantation, it was a freaking map. Okay. Wow. The way it was corn braided. And a lot of people are not, look, when I come to my history, I know my history. So it was in a map, and you would see certain old styles. It was actually not all, but certain patterns of corn braids was a map. So when the Kardashians and when they do certain things, I don't care if a white person wants to get a corn braid. That's not the issue. But then when you change the name of like when Bo Derek
the heritage,
right? Yeah. When she changed, they called it the Bo Derek braids when it was corn braids, you know. So my thing is, that's the issue I have with the Kardashians, because they're culture vultures, and I'm saying it, they're culture vultures, okay? And I don't care if they marry black men or whatever, they're culture vultures. So they take things and then they change it, and that's disrespecting to us women, and as a black person, that's disrespectful, because it's like, wait a minute, I was in my feelings about it. I'm like, wait a minute, and it happens a lot. And you know, people do that, and that's what we don't like, you know, and that's one of the things people may say, oh, that's not a big thing. And you'll hear some people say, well, white people you can wear corn braids. I don't have a problem with that. But then when you're changing the name and you don't even know what it really represents, because people, oh, it looks cute. It's a symbolic thing that a lot of people don't know about corn braids. Even most black people don't even know that, you know, because when we were little, there's a thing that we do when we were growing up, and it was just like a bonding thing. Like when you're younger, you sit between your mom's legs, or a female person, your legs, they oil your scalp. That's when they would have conversation and they would braid your hair. It was a bonding experience. Bonding experience. You can ask your mom anything, or the female person who's braiding your hair, and it took time, talent, and effort to do it. Whether they would put beads in it, they would put rubber bands in it, you'd wear a scarf at night, and you're just shaking your hair, loving it. It's a sentimental thing, and Again, for those who are watching it, I am not against white people getting corn braids. That's not it. But when you're hijacking, and there's more things and more things, and then you have other people who are upset because growing up, if they had big lips, they were made fun of. If they had a big butt, they were made fun of. Now the Kardashians, seems like I'm beating up on them, and other people, now they're going to doctors to get it done, and now it's cute. Natural hair. Wearing your hair as an African American woman, it wasn't acceptable to wear your hair curly or afro going to job. You had to either wear wig weave or had to straighten your hair, mesh your hair. Oprah talks about it all the time, that her hair practically fell off her scalp. A lot of the Black models talk about it. Naomi Campbell, on and on and on, talk about that. People didn't understand the hair and their hair got, damaged or whatever the case may be. Now it's acceptable to wear braids. Even wearing braids into a job interview, that was not acceptable. I mean, I personally have had people tell me, because my hair is curly, I've had people tell me that, why don't you wear your hair straight? When I was why don't you wear your hair straight? Yes. So
do you do it now straight because that's your choice? That's what you want?
Listen, when I got to a certain age, I said, I don't give a damn what people want. I'm going to do what I want to do. Okay. So if I want to wear it straight, long, short, I'll do whatever I want to do, because I don't do it because of them anymore, because I was working in the corporate world, and, going to interviews, I know how I had to wear my hair. But then after the 90 days, I busted out and start wearing it curly. So I understand, but now we don't have to do that. Now we can wear our hair any way we want to. Now it's celebrated and, appreciated. But back then it wasn't. There's kids in school now, or I think prior to a couple of months ago, who were wearing dreads in their hair, and the teachers were telling them to cut it. There was a guy in a football, I think a team, a wrestling team. His coach cut his dreads off. Okay, because it make it more acceptable. I'm not even going to go into that one, but why we don't need to look a certain way to be acceptable. Just accept us who we are. If our hair is clean, nails, and we look appropriate, that's what we should have the luxury of looking like ourselves, or looking how we want to look.
That's a birthright, that's a given birthright. And I think this is where I break away from 100% what you're saying, and I think it goes across the board as well. I hate the fact of being told how one should look. You brought up the interview. It's whether you're Black or white, why should you have to look a certain way for an interview? When you go to a nice restaurant, why should one have to wear closed shoes or open shoes or long trousers or short? Our birthright is to be who we are, and if we're not who we are, then we're not following why we were born in the first place. Jacqueline Charles was put here to be Jacqueline Charles, to get her purpose, her message across to the world. And that's the biggest point, is liberation of that. All of us should be encouraging every single person we know to be who they are. And whether that means don't straighten your hair, let it go curly, fucking do it, do it, because that is you. Don't worry about, but then again, this is where it comes in, because you get that minority or majority that don't want you to be you.
And you have to do it because you want to, it's you have to integrate into what you're doing. You want to pay your bills, so you have to do it.
Yeah.
And I know I've done it, so I'm not going to. Then you have this thing when you go into a store. It happened to Oprah Winfrey of all people, but it's something that happens in the store. Because I know when I'm in the store, I call them out. You're a Black woman walking into a store, and it's a high expensive store, and people will, sometimes they don't come over to you at all because they figure you don't have anything, or you're just coming to window shop. That's why I love Pretty Woman when she was in that store, and she's big mistake. So you go in the store, and either they'll follow you around or they don't follow you around, but they're watching, waiting for you to do something. Or sometimes they leave the alarm Yeah, I know that's what y'all do. Leave the alarm on the clothes so the alarm can go off and then so they can search your bag.
What?
Okay. So
Wow.
those are other things that happen, that, and then that's why, or when you're walking at night, because I hear it from my friends, especially my guy friends, when they're walking at night on the street and older white woman's, ahead of them, and they pass her and she clutches her purse, even tighter. I mean, I can't begin to understand what Black men feel like. I cannot even begin to understand because they could go through more than we do. Okay. So they have to go through a lot, So for me, I just want people to just be not tolerant, but just understand where we're coming from. Understand where the anger is, because there's no one's really looking to, like I said, in my community, I have to give them credit from my police department or whatever. I have to give them credit because from where I live now and how it used to be years ago, it's totally different. And I love that, things are changed, that have changed. It has not affected me one way or another because I've never had any issues living here. But I just want to have that conversation because yes, okay, it's Black History Month, but we're having terrible things, and who knows if it's going to get worse, because I feel like right now we're in a pressure cooker or we're in a pot and it's simmering. The cover's not on the pot yet. It's simmering, and it's like almost someone's going to put the cover on the pot so the steam can come out and then the top can go off. That's what I feel, because it's just horrible, that where we're living. So now that you know a little bit about some of the things that I mentioned to you, what is it that you find like, oh my God, other than what we talk about, like when people talk about slavery, what's your takeaway about with slavery?
Well, we've got like 3 minutes left, so it's a really deep question to end on.
But damn, it's almost 12 o'clock. We got to go too. Yes.
But what I think about the whole conversation that we've had is, hands up, I have a lot to learn. I'm not going to deny that. I never would have denied that even before this conversation. I do have a lot to learn, and I will endeavor to learn even more. One question I do have though, say it's Black History Month. Well, it is Black History Month, and I decide to share some posts about something amazing that I've learned, an empowered woman, man, whatever it may be. The braiding, I think that story is just amazing. Like, to have a map on your head, like, that's just ingenious. Is it insulting for me to share that?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Because what's that showing me? It's not a culture vulture thing. If you think I'm going to go there, because
I didn't mean that.
Right.
I just said, is it insulting that I'm just yeah.
That's what we want. We want people to share that about us, because I'm tired of sharing it. I want to see, and my counterparts, I want to see other people sharing. Yeah. Just like if something happened in your community, or we found out like during the potato famine, this is what you guys did to escape it. I would share that, because I'm all about sharing everything about everyone if you're doing something positive. But we want to see more. I want to see more white people share things about what's going on in our culture, things that they've heard, things that they've learned, the braiding, all that stuff, because we're constantly sharing news,
So I agree. I think that is totally right. And one thing that I would like to put out there is, I would like to say, from the people like myself that aren't as educated as we could be, but when we try to be, one thing that I would ask is for you guys also to come from a place of love if we don't understand everything, because we want to. And it is sometimes, and you and I talked about this, Jacqueline, sometimes it's hard to ask the questions. We don't know whether we're going to get attacked, ripped apart, and shouted at. Yeah. And that, for me, is my biggest thing, because I sit in a place of fear, and I think fear is not a nice place to sit in when I want to be educated. So the one thing I would say is, hands up. Yeah, I do need to be more educated. But please, if I ask you a question, please come from a place of love, so we can have a nice conversation where you can share things that are of pain, so then I can understand them more. so then I can share them more and educate and have it ripple through my community.
And also, too, I want to ask you to be patient with the ones who are like, nope, and slap you in the face. Not really hit you, but like, nope, because.
Well, I can't be more patient than asking the questions. And if they block me off social media and they never want to talk to me again,
then that's different.
I can't do anything about it. And that's my experience. That's my experience.
Well, that's, for me, I think, I'm going to say for me, that's wrong. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of things about that. That's wrong. So, and I know we're wrapping up soon, but I think we just need to, like I said, if you have any questions, ask me. But we are coming from a place where a lot of us like, look, you need to search, you need to Google that, or you need to figure it out, because we have to figure out your history. But when we have guys, ladies, gentlemen, when we have someone reaching out and asking us, that's the opportunity to educate them. No matter how pissed off you are, that's the opportunity to educate them, because let's face it, she doesn't have to do it, or they don't have to do it with well intentions. So they're asking because they really want to know. And I think that's how we start the conversation. So that's all I'm asking. And this has been, whoo, girl, I thought it was about to get hot up in here. I was about to take off my jacket. But
the thing is, I think it could get heated, but I will never come from a place of that, because my intention is never to disrespect someone. And that's where my frustration comes in with this situation, because I'm going to finish with a funny story, because we talk about that we don't see color. My mom, our bestest family friends are Black. And I was doing spray tanning, a course years ago when I was younger. And my mom turned around to the woman in the family and she went, "Oh, will you just have a spray tan for Hayley to practice?" And the woman turned around and she went, "Have you not seen the color of my skin?" And my mom's like, "Oh my God, I didn't even think about it." So, when we come from a place of love, like we like you said, it doesn't, I'm not just picking the coat. I'm looking at the heart. And I think if one thing that we can do is come from the heart and ask questions with respect and sincere integrity behind the question, then we aren't doing anything wrong, like both parties. And it disgusts me what goes on. I wish that I could flick a switch and change it all. But all I can do is pray that I ask the right questions, I get treated with love in response, and then I am educated from another side, not just Google side, a real human side, to then cascade that through the people that I know and love.
That's what we need, because it's not important just to hear the information. It's important to share it with your microcosmic group of people that you're hanging, your community.
Exactly.
That's important. And that's what we want, because we don't always want to be the one telling the story. Can other people tell our stories? And then you mentioned about other communities. Once we fix this, and Lord, it's a lot of fixing, then we can work about the other communities. But right now, the biggest issue that's going on, it's African Americans. What's going on? We helped build the country. This is what we're doing in all different, not just America, all countries. So we're looking to see people just want to be respected. That's really the bottom line.
I think that's what we just exactly. And all sides, if all sides respect each other, from the not knowing to the knowing to the inexperience to the experience, if respect is the first thing, and love is the way that we come into it, then we can't hurt each other, because we're coming from the best place and with integrity. And if that's where people, I will honor, and I hope other people listening that are white will honor what you've said. And I hope that what you can do is cascade through your community, that the questions and the education needs to be done from a real point of view as well, not just go and do your stuff. I've had a traumatic history, and you go and work it out. Like, I think if we can come to this equal place of respect, then that's when we can have growth.
Well, I think I'm glad you said that, because I think I'm going to create a platform with Black women and probably get some white women as well, but to talk about and go throughout my community and let them know, like, if someone comes and asks you a question, I know you want to, like, hand to the face. No, we're not going to do that. let's make sure that we're here to like, okay, what do you need? What do you want? Because I do have friends who are like,
Thank you.
I have friends who are like,
Yes.
I'm not doing
Yeah.
it. I'm not doing it, Jackie. I have friends who've told me already, I'm not sitting down, I'm not educating, I'm not doing all of that. They need to go to school for that. They need to take African American studies for that. And I'm like, okay, I have to respect that because that's how they feel. But mind you, these are people that I'm talking about who live in the South, whose parents were hanged by white people. So I kind of understand where they're coming from. So again, it just boils down to, communication and respect. We want to thank everyone for tuning into the Women Are Worthy show. And if you're watching us on YouTube, the Women Are Worthy Network, please make sure you subscribe, that little button subscribe, so you can find out, all our shows when it's coming back. So again, I'm always talking about if you want to join our tribe, you must subscribe. So follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, which is the Women Are Worthy Show. The Facebook show is the Women Are Worthy Show. And again, we're going to be, I forgot to tell you guys, we're coming out with a plant-based, I was told shut up. Okay, I wasn't told to be quiet. I was told to shut up.
Oh,
I think you talking. Okay, we'll address that later. But no, so. And I love what you're doing. We're going to bring you back on to talk about your business because I'm loving what you're doing, especially the shirt. We're going to talk about that. And again, thank you for being so open and transparent because I don't think you could have gotten any more transparent as that. You didn't come off as someone who was stupid or naive. To me, you came off as someone who really truly wants to learn. You're in the UK and it's totally different than what's going on here. Not that there isn't racism, but it's totally different than what's going on here. And you've been on lockdown since when, November?
Well, to be honest, it's pretty much been since May last year. So, but since November, I haven't left my home. And this is going to go on until minimum April. So
wow, so probably.
And my fiance is in Hawaii, and so we don't know when we're going to see each other again. So life is really tough for so many people, and I'll say this as well, like whether we're black or white, life is really tough right now, whoever you are. And like for me right now, I've been in bed with a migraine all day and like all yesterday, so I didn't know if I was going to get on here, but that's stress, like there's underlining stress of all of us. And the more that we can all come together, whether it's to have conscious, hard conversations, like perhaps now is the time to do it. So while the world, because at the end of the day, whether we're black or white, the control that is going on in the world right now affects all of us.
Yes.
And if we cannot come together during these times, if I cannot ask the questions to you guys and get the answers, if some of the people that really want to put their hand in the face, like maybe it's time just to go, okay, this was the past. We need to educate the present so we can go forward to the future in a totally different way. Because my belief of it, and it makes me really emotional to think of it, like if we honestly all don't pull our fingers out now, then we're passing this on to our children's children, and this cycle is never going to break.
Well, I don't even think we'll have children's children. I think if we don't fix this now, because I think it's the earth telling us, whether people think that this was created in a lab or whatever, it's out here now. And if we don't fix this now, the great thing is the fishes are multiplying, the rainforest is doing beautifully. That's the great part. But if we don't get it together as a human being, that's Mother Nature telling us, look, guys, you screwed up. And if you don't get it together, something bad is going to happen. And, I don't want to be around for that. Something bad's going to happen because every other day, someone that I know has COVID, someone's in the ER, someone's intubated, and it's bad. And now we have the second strain that's going. So I am just that's another topic, but I want to thank you for being on the show. You have just been phenomenal, and I'm loving this sisterhood, you and I, this little thing that we developed.
I do want to say thank you for having me, and thank you I haven't seen the comments. I'm a little bit scared to go on and see comments, but I just pray that everyone comes from a place, for me, as it's a big thing to come into a very strong woman's show with a very big network of strong, black, powerful, beautiful women. And for me to come into this, like not really knowing each other that well, it's kind of scary. And so I do feel grateful that I'm here. And, you know, I've learned some things. I hope you guys have also learned some stuff. And, you know, at the end of the day, everything starts with planting a seed. And maybe this is a tiny little seed that we've planted in a few people's gardens that will end up being a blossoming tree, you know?
Okay, well, I just want to give one correction. My show is not a Black show. My show is for all women who have vaginas who are positive.
I forgot you said that.
That's what my show is about. I'm just a Black woman, so here you're falling into that. I'm just a Black woman that has a show, but it's for
well, you
all
said you were getting your community together, and you said
That's
Black
my
women, you
community.
may get some white people. That's what you said,
community.
so I didn't know.
Yeah, my community consists of Indians, Asians, Blacks, whites. So that's what I meant. As long as you have a positive vagina, you're allowed to be in here. And even if you have a positive, you know, if you're a guy, you can be in here as well. So we're just looking out for positivity personally. So we're going to share it. But thank you, lady. You've just been a doll. I really appreciate you. And we want to talk about your business because, girl, we got to talk about that business. This lady, when I say she making money, she is making money. She's going to educate us. She has her own thing. I'm telling you, cha-ching, cha-ching. Yeah, honey. And she's very humble about her money, about her coins. So she's very humble, you know. So we're looking at you know, maybe, you know, I'm telling you, this woman is something. So I can't wait to learn from you.
No.
And because, again, seriously, you're doing phenomenal things. And I like the fact that you've gone out, volunteered, your philanthropy. You're just a good chick. And that's the kind of chick I want in my community. So we will bring you on and let me know if there's anything you're needing from me. We're here to support you. Any posting you want us to do, we're here to post, okay?
Okay. And you guys, lots of love. Thank you so much for having me, Jacqueline.
You're welcome.
It's nighttime. It's nighttime here now. The dark sky.
What time is it? 8 o'clock? What time is it?
It's 5 p.m. now, but it's dark here. It's dark and kind of, it's weird. It's dinner time. But anyway, thank you so much. And I hope we'll speak again soon.
We will. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.